So, going back to some of your points there around managing cyber risk and what should I be investing in, what advice could these CEOs take from you right now?
I think that it's interesting because CEOs are the ones that are stepping up for this. And whilst, the technology officers, the CTOs, the CIOs are enabling some of this, because technology is partly the problem, partly the answer, it's actually the CEOs that are stepping forward on this, the ones we've been working with. And that's predominantly because this is a strategic play. We're not going to be able to mitigate all the risks. So then it's a question of choices. But it's making investments that year on year move you closer to managing the risks you're most concerned about. And so the first thing I always talk to everybody about is you must have a cloud first strategy. And why is that? Because I'm a cloud service provider myself, but that's something that we've implemented for the UK government in 2009, and obviously is a global piece now. But why is the whole mechanisms around cloud and all of that? It's actually another seminar. But what I would suggest the conversation is around is, and if this has got to be your most important takeaway of everything I say today, if you don't have a cloud first strategy, you're not going to have artificial intelligence. No cloud, no AI, but it needs to be in a secure context. It needs to be ethical. It needs to be all the things that we have around safeguards of AI. But if you don't have a cloud first strategy, you're not actually going to be on that first step of the ladder to move ourselves out of this. But what else? The global plan for the G20 economies focused on one key cyber risk category. I was amazed to find out how this conversation at G20 level was not on the table, because it's something I've been doing since 2015 and the core of my work. And I've actually been training the cyber industry since February to get on board with this one. And that key cyber category is what we call CNI, the critical national infrastructure. Working from home has put strain on everything, including beyond our borders, beyond our companies, beyond our supply chains. But do you know what sort of pressure you're under for the electricity you need to generate, any other raw materials, the whole, how fragile is your supply chain? So where is that, and what do you need to do? And again, I've been training my cyber peers to start to focus on that and build some capability in this. So it is another webinar, but what I would say is this matters to you because however under pressure your supply chain has been, however under pressure your working from home has been, trying to mix the estate in order to service the clients you normally serve, have you updated your contingency and resilience plans? If you haven't done that, and you haven't done it with this being the future, then very definitely there's a huge conversation to have there. And I think then that leads me directly into the sort of numbers around this. For the pandemic, the World Economic Forum research on all of this across 141 countries was the numbers around this and what is happening across the world before we had this problem were horrendous. At the lower level, with the small businesses, 12% of their turnover is going missing on an annual basis. And the numbers that Kate talked about were specific examples, which if you ripple that across the world, which of course we did at the World Economic Forum, there is a landscape change that needs to be done. And I've prepared a giveaway for Kate to get to you as an audience. So I'm going to ask her to be able to make that available to you, that summarizes that World Economic Forum research around that threat, because that piece of it should inform and should drive your spend, in my view. Now, technology, as I said earlier, is part of the problem, part of the answer, but it is definitely the route or the lever to use to manage this risk. So I'm one of the 6 UK data protection practitioners of excellence, recognised by the UK's Information Commissioner in 2020 for this new work, this new cyber work, because we've leveraged the preparations we've done as a company in Europe, and so have many other organisations. And in fact, we now have whole nations, Japan being one of them, and California more recently, who've actually bound in the regulation around the way this operates in an attempt to corral it. But essentially, what is making the biggest difference across the world is taking a reg tech approach, regulatory technology approach to that cyber strategy, because the regulators are largely unsighted on this, and we can't rely on them, but we can inform them, we can collaborate with them. And that is perhaps the newest area of my work, but something that is making a huge difference in terms of mitigating the cyber risks, understanding the scenarios we need to go with, but more to the point, mobilizing your organization and mobilizing your supply chains, something a government can't do.